music's in the air as Dream Rides journeys to Lima, Ohio for the Westgate Charity Car Show. And they must take their philanthropy seriously here as a huge variety of cars has filled up the lots of a local car dealer. But now it's time for a little less conversation and a little more action. Welcome to Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides. With such a large selection of vehicles at hand, we're going to start the show off with flights of fancy, highly innovative rides that spring from builders' imaginations.
It's a 2015 self-assembled vehicle replica of a 67 auto car. That was the first truck that I drove for Shell Oil Company. Everything is hand-built in my garage except for the roof. The roof is off a 49 Chevy half-ton pickup truck, cut down many different directions. All the sheet metal had been rolled by hand. I used ratchet straps and whatever I needed except for the hood, and I had to have that done because of the angles when it closed. It's got a 3-cylinder Kubota diesel in it out of a generator. I put a 3,600 RPM governor in it. It's got a turbocharger on it. It's got an Indy race car type hydraulic clutch, a Crosley 3-speed transmission, and then I've got 2 Harley-Davidson Dana Spicer differentials, and both of them are driven. But it's all made out of scrap iron, and it is street legal. It's got license on it, insurance, the whole 9 yards. The tank on the side is a fuel tank now, but it is off of a 90 Peterbilt tractor. It's the air tank. And then my air tank is a 5-pound CO2 fire extinguisher bottle. The speedometer is off a golf cart. The steering linkage is off of an Oliver 88 farm tractor. The windshield wipers are off a boat. I mean, anything I could pick up and I thought I could use it, I used it. I've been on it 15 years. Now that's not continuous because it's set for about 3 years after my wife passed away. And my grandson come one day and he, Grandpa, when are we gonna finish it? It's his truck. Here in a year or so I'm gonna title it to him. I've never had anybody give me anything but a thumbs up on it, and the truck drivers will blow the horn at me, and then I surprise them when I blow mine back because it's louder than theirs.
It started as a 45 Ford cab. That's all I had, and the rest of it came off of Craigslist and parts of it people give me. So when you start building a rat rod and people get noticed, people just start throwing stuff at you. There's like 47 different years of car parts on that. One weekend I put 300 miles on it. I drove all the way up to Cleveland, Ohio, back down, and then drove around a little bit. It was like 640 miles. This car does not get set. If I'm able to drive it, and if it's not raining outside, it's on the road. I caused 3 accidents and I wasn't even involved in it.
We got a 1969 Broadbusters Bambulance. It's not a Ghostbuster car. We own a pawn shop here in town. So this is just our gimmick to get everybody to stop into the store. We found it online. We actually gave the same price that they gave for theirs on the movie. We get $4,800 for it. I didn't realize it until we got back. One of my buddies told me. But yeah, we got it all done up and got speakers, plays a song, all the lights, the sirens, everything works. So we got a pretty good chunk of money in it now. Just put a brand new 472 Cadillac motor in it. It runs like a champ. I mean, we got it ready for all the parades and everything. We drive it all the time. It goes in and out of the shop about every day. So we probably put it in 6-8 parades a year. We just drive it around for fun just to get all the looks and everything in it too. All want to take pictures with it and let their kids get in it and all that stuff, turn the lights on and the sirens, and it's a good time.
Yeah, this is Barney Fife. I'm here to write some tickets at this Westgate car show, and I might have to arrest somebody later on for impersonating somebody. So just stay tuned and we'll be back after this message.
Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Fox Injection, specializing in custom fuel injection systems. Magic Creeper, ready rain or shine. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation. Back at the Westgate Charity Show in Lima, Ohio, we next focus on a group of cars whose styling helped define the fabulous 50s, like the curves of this 1949 Chevrolet, which carried over into the next decade.
49 Chevy convertible. I bought the car from the gentleman that had it since 1978. It was all original when I got it. We've completely tore it down. It's all custom. Of course, it's got a 453 horse motor in it. Got an automatic transmission. I do interior work, so we got a custom interior. The seats are out of a 2008 Mustang convertible. And the back seat was stuck way up out of the car. I had to cut that off on the back so it looked good in there. The grill is a 53 Buick. The headlights has been Frenched. And then we put all new firewall in it, new inner fender panels. I wanted this because my very first car when I was 15 years old, before I even had a driver's license, was one of these. So I looked for like 46 years, and I finally found this in Illinois. So I run right over and grabbed it real quick, and I've had it about 8 years now. I have friends that tell me, they say, when are you going to outgrow this? I've done this since, like I say, 15 years old. And I said, the day they put me in the ground, that's the day I'll quit doing cars.
'56 Ford Crown Victoria. My first car was a '56 Ford, so I had to relive my childhood. We bought this car in 1988.
Well, I told him if that's what he wanted, it was up to him.
It was pretty good shape. It was black and white. We drove for about 3 or 4 years, and then decided in the early 90s to take it back to the original color, which is Meadow Mist Green and Colonial White. It wasn't my favorite color, but it is now. The engine is a 312 cubic inch, probably around 280, 290 horsepower. Standard shift with overdrive, 3 on the tree. We put 27,000 miles on it since we restored it, so probably 3,000 or 4,000 miles a year.
He probably wouldn't let me drive it even if I knew how.
She can't drive a standard shift. She says she could.
I have a 59 Corvette I bought in 1961, and I also have a 57 Chevy Nomad I bought in 1967. The engine is a 383, it's a stroker motor. I have a Street and Performance fuel injection, 700R transmission with vintage air. It come with a 283 in it. When I built the car, I wished I would have put a good Chevy crate motor in it. You know, the gas went up and everything, but this car will run about 16, 17 miles a gallon going down the road. It runs out real good. I got 4-wheel disc brakes on it. I've always loved the Nomad wagon. They got good lines, and I paid $125 for the car, and I'd hate to tell you how much I got wrapped up in it now. The Corvette is a 59 with a 290 horse factory fuel injection on it. In '70, I bought a new Monte Carlo and was going to trade the car in. Well, that's when I didn't trade in because they wasn't going to give me anything for it. I ended up keeping the Corvette, and then I had it restored. I spent umpteen thousands on it, and you know, like both cars, you just spend too much money on it. I would sell them at the right price. Like I say, I've owned the car so long, and I'm almost 75 years old, but my other hobby is riding motorcycles. I got a 2015 Goldwing motorcycle with 153,000 miles on it.
Hi boys, stay tuned for more car show in Lima, Ohio after this commercial break.
Fox Injection, specializing in custom fuel injection systems. Fox Injection is engineered to win.
Basically, we started off as modifying fuel injection systems, and then we created a few of our own. As a result, we started getting into the Genby systems. We referred customers to Genby because they built some really quality products. And then they came to us and saw what we did, and we were already customers, and they said, we'd like to have you be the U.S. distributors. They liked our product, we liked their products, so we got together.
They're concentrated mostly on the European market, but we have access to the American V8 manifold, so we
put those two together.
Now, the Gen V you've got over here, one of the few for a V8. Talk to me about that.
That particular intake kit is for the GM LS, and they offer everything from the LS1 all the way to the LS9. And you have the cross ram version, which we have here, and they also make a downdraft, which is more like a vertical stack. They offer several different sizes, different performance levels, and one unique thing they have is drive-by-wire capability, which, as far as I know, nobody else on the market has that. They refer to that as ETA, electronic throttle actuation, but we call that drive-by-wire.
And then you have a replacement for Weber's.
Gen V manufactures cast throttle bodies that are a replacement for Weber carburetors. So they will bolt to any manifold that originally was designed for a Weber. So it makes it nice. We can do a lot of conversions using that.
Welcome back to Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides. The following cars have two key things in common. All are vintage 60s muscle cars with only one owner.
65 Olds 442, one owner. I ordered it at Nice Wonder Chevrolet in Walpole, Canada, and I went down there one day to check that it came in yet, and the truck was there backing it off the truck, and I was like a kid in a candy store. It was originally green with white interior. I've changed the color, interior and exterior to black. I should have had my head examined back then, but I like this a lot better. It's a 400 cubic inch, and it's 4-speed transmission. The engine's original transmission has been rebuilt and bored at 30 thousandths over. Put a light camshaft in it just to give it a little bit of a rumble. I'm going to keep it as long as I'm alive, and it's going to my son because he helped rebuild it.
1967 Buick Grand Sport 400 convertible. This is not my car. I get to keep the oil changed and get to shine it and all that, and it's my wife's first car she ever owned. And it came from Clark's Buick in Bluffton, Ohio. She had that long before I ever met her, and actually we went to school together, and then later on, and when I married her, the car came with it. So that was a good deal. And it only has 65,000 miles on it. Pretty cool. I finally make a pole barn for it with an air conditioner and heater in it, because the first time I put her just in a regular barn and all the brake lines froze up, all the brakes froze up, so you just got to treat your car like you treat anything else with love and care. It's only probably one of 1,200 in the United States, a convertible like this. She lets me drive it, and every time I leave home, she said, "Now be careful with my car." And I went, "Yes, dear."
1974 Plymouth Duster 360. That was the high performance motor for Mopar then. It's first year in 74 when they put them in the Dusters. After that they were a 340. I bought it new 42 years ago, and this one had the 360 high performance, 4-speed. It was everything I was looking for. Stored in my dad's barn for about 25 years, and he moved to town and I lost my storage shed, so moved it to my place and decided to fix it up. And it was started in 08. In Memorial Day weekend 2014, I drove it off the lot. It looks exactly like I drove it off the new car dealership lot.
Time now to learn about Dustless Blasting's tools and opportunities with Brian Loans.
So last week I had the chance to actually operate the Dustless Blasting system for myself, and I have Zach here with me. Zach, we were working outside. Talk to me about the eco-friendliness or environmental concerns involved with the Dustless Blasting system.
Sure. So the basic rules for any type of paint removal is you can't leave anything on the ground, put anything in the air, or get anything in the water. So our tool takes care of the airborne part. And so just as you saw, when we pulled the truck on, we pulled it onto a sheet of visqueen.
Sure.
So that when we're done, we're going to be able to capture all that paint and abrasive, roll it up and throw it away.
It's actually great, kind of a good business practice as well. If you're out there as a contractor, the last thing you want to do is leave a mess for your customers. So it's also kind of a best business practices too, right?
Absolutely, of course. You would never want a contractor to come and leave your place a mess.
Now, obviously, we're dealing with some kind of big pressures, you know, as we're shooting the media and the water out of the gun to script the paint. How much water are we using?
Very, very, very little. So over the course of an hour, we're only going to use about 20 gallons of water. However, 80% of that water is going to atomize. So it's literally going to disappear as it's coming out of the machine.
That's a pretty amazing stat, because it's one thing I noticed when I was using the system, the area is certainly not flooded when you're working with it. It's very minimal.
No, not at all. All the water is doing is it's just making the abrasive heavy, and it's also eliminating that heat on those car panels.
So it's pretty interesting because obviously in dry systems there's media kind of flying everywhere, and I think an interesting analogy is if I were to take a handful of dry sand and kind of throw it across the room, it breaks almost into a cloud. You go to the beach and pick up a clump of wet sand, it's like throwing a baseball.
Absolutely. So all that mass, you know, from the water makes the abrasive fall to the ground, but it also adds a tremendous amount of energy to the abrasive itself.
Trust me, I've seen how it works firsthand. It's an amazing system, and actually the weird thing is it's kind of fun, one of those oddly satisfying jobs.
Sure, they call that instant gratification. The paint's there and then it's gone.
Zach, thank you very much. We'll be back with more from Dustless Blasting next week.
I tell you, I'm all shook up, man. There's some beautiful cars here, and we'll be right back with the coverage of the car show. And thank you very much.
Dustless Blasting presents Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Flowmaster, the exhaust technology company. Machinist Made, dedicated to bringing new revolutionary cleaning products to the market. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation. As we continue to look at a few more fabulous rides from the Westgate Charity Car Show, we find out more about the event from one of its organizers.
This is the 8th annual. We started at Lima Senior for band outfits for the kids, and then we moved to the mall, and then we went to Westgate, and we've been at Westgate till the last year, and we outgrew it, so Mr. McLean and Mr. Timmermeister give us this venue here for the car show. Everything goes to charity. Last year we gave away $8,000 we derived from the car show. I don't pick the charities until after, you know, we count our money, and then I go out and research the people. Then I call them and we give them $1,000 increments. But we always got child services and the Veterans Food Pantry are always the first two. The mission fee here was $10. You know, it's a standard fee per card. And the guys come in and we try to put on a good show for them, and we get a lot of help from the community, the fire department, you know, to raise the flag for us for the vets. And we got Elvis there, we got Marilyn Monroe, we got Barney, so it's a good day.
...1934 Chevy pickup. It's all steel. I bought the truck off the original owner back in the early 80s. It was like a barn find, as they call them now. And it sat in a warehouse out in Texas. And the guy gave me the original title with it. It was sold new in Las Vegas on June 6th of 34 for $480. And built it into a hot rod. It's got Mustang 2 front suspension. It's got a Ford 9-inch rear end. It's got a ZZ4 crate motor with a 700R. It's carbureted, chopped to top, shaded door handles, a root lib hood on it. We did everything in-house except for the interior. It's been on the road since 2004. We drive it all over to the big car shows, and especially the small ones. It's really fun to drive. It's got air, power windows, and it runs real good.
36 Ford Cabriolet. It was originally from Akron, Ohio, but it ended up in Abilene, Texas, and we seen it, we flew out, checked it out, brought it back with us. Well, that was in 1999, and we drove it just the way that it was for several years, and we ended up getting hit. So we decided to let's redo the whole car. So then my husband got involved, and I got to pick out the color, and that's about it. He did all the rest of the stuff for me.
Well, we took the original body off the chassis and put a new low-bed chassis underneath of it. We put an LS2 in it with a 4L65. and put vintage air in it, put a power heated seat, made a custom 44 dash for it. It's got tilt column, cruise, power steering, power brakes, got disc brakes in front. Everything on it's new except the sheet metal. And we did everything in our shop except the upholstery.
Mostly I drive it to the car shows, he drives his truck, I drive my car. So I squawk the tires a little bit on takeoff. I might get old, but I can drive it.
1966 Corvette Stingray. I bought it here in Lima in 1970. It was 4 years old, and I restored this car, the original NCCC convention rules. It's been to the Bowling Green factory where they build Corvettes, and I had it all inspected and judged by the Corvette people that build the Corvettes at the GM factory in Bowling Green. I got 97 points out of 100. That was excellent, people's choice. I have a 327 cubic inch, 350 horse, small block, knockoff wheels, gold line tires from the factory, and side exhaust. I have it for 45 years. My wife says you're going to be 80. You need to get rid of your toys. It's part of my family, but we're going to try to move it. We got to make an offer. I'm not going to put a price because I think it's one of them things where we need to have negotiations.
'72 W30 Oldsmobile. I acquired that car about 8-9 years ago. It was built in Canada. A friend of mine found it, restored it, and he got tired of it, and I was fortunate enough to end up with it. W31 convertible, 442 Oldsmobile. It's all original, has a cruise control in it, which is kind of odd for that year of car, but other than that, it's factory stock. It's got a his and her shifter in it. On the left side is a normal low second and drive, and it's got a bar in it. You flip the bar over it and move the shifter over to the right, and then you can actually slam the shifter with your hand. It does not have pink fenders inside. 1972, they did not go to the red or the pink type fenders. They were plastic, but they took them away that year. When we first got it, we drove it quite a bit. Of course, my boys got older, and now they drive it a lot. And Dad only gets to play with his car once in a while. Oh, yeah, it's a tire squealer. That 455 in it will just melt those bias-ply tires. I think the kids have got dibs on it, so we'll see. It's probably staying in the family for quite a while.
With the performance of an Elvis serenade, we close this edition of Dustless Blasting Presents Dream Rides. Next week, it's bow tie time as we go all Chevy in Reading, Pennsylvania.